working. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Iron's always working.
Yeah.
Man. But you know they want to see you working on that stage, man. We already know you got the business acumen and everything. You got all that. We want to see Iron on the stage, man.
I appreciate it. I want to see it too.
Did this setting give you a little bit of itch?
I mean, it always does. I love this shit. You know what I mean? And I go to a lot of the battles in Philly. And I
ain't even gonna say that. He know I understand him.
Y'all already know the voice. He ran up on me with the blicky, like. All right, so that wasn't doing.
It's like some people are such unserious people that like no matter how credible I am, when they're around, it's like it just lowers the vibration so much that it's like I fell apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? These old uncles and shit.
People gotta understand how important stress-free is. To be stress-free, especially what you guys do. It's a mental game. So
for sure. Nah, for me that's always like that's something that always has to be managed. You got to be conscious of. You know what I mean? But at the moment, I just have other creative pursuits and things that I'm trying to work on that I need to like fully manifest so that I can redirect my energy. You know what I mean? I can't half-ass nothing. I can't be divided like in my focus and attention as to a craft that I take so seriously. Because I never want to be less than what my best possible is for that moment, and I also want to do a great job of selecting that moment. And right now I'm working on other like creative and business things behind the scenes, and building infrastructure in my one business that's not particularly music related. It's like a production crew setup and breakdown business, and just building infrastructure in our tech stack, like the software we use, how do we hire people, how do we disseminate information, how do we run payroll, like just trying to make everything operate as smooth as possible. And then doing other creative things with like collaborating with other artists on more branding and art curation and like content, things along those lines. You know what I mean? Like stuff that's like I used to do for myself as an artist, and spend a lot of time refining the like skill sets of thinking through creative processes and having tools to maneuver out of writer's block or to foster inspiration when it's not just striking, and applying that to other artists and other scenes and other genres, and just taking those skills elsewhere. Because for me, I love to create on a wide spectrum, and if you're creating as the brand, it's going to limit like the degree to which you can fluctuate from what characteristics or experiences fans want from you. And I would rather be able to like tell mad different stories and communicate creatively in mad different ways. Because like even when I was younger, I would listen to super underground shit you could only hear on like NYU radio, and have Jay-Z on the same mixtape as somebody that nobody heard of, and like fuck with that shit back to back, and listen to rock and punk rock and soul and Jimi Hendrix and all that shit. So I like you know what I mean? And so I gotta like get that vision out, because it's with me, and like then I'm gonna circle back.
That's your passion. That's your passion,
and that's separate from what I do here.
Yes, okay.
Like it's associated, but it needs to exist on its own before it can be like combined. And when I come back, I want it to be thoughtful and like curated and like stylistically and promotion-wise be something that I'm more comfortable with personally, creatively, and not just like fall into the path of the way it's being done. And that's not even like that's not a criticism or anything. I just want to, I want it to be how I want it to be. I like to paint the story, and
on your time, man.
And like me and Rum Nitty, like that's a moment that's like part of a narrative, and any battle that I take is supposed to be about an experience and a story and a vibe that I want to maybe get across at that moment. And like it's got to be the right thing. You know what I mean? I got to be in the right headspace for that. And because I'm doing this other creative stuff elsewhere, and like for me, it's culture and art, and it's like shit that I've taken really seriously since I was a young person. You know what I mean? Like culture, art, humanity, like, and that's broad to me. And like I want the I don't want to argue with people. That's not like a skill that I like worked on developing to like be nasty at. Like it is, I'm nice at it. People hate arguing with me, you know what I'm saying? But for me to go on camera and just like degrade another person in an argument with no
context.
Like it's crazy dope that people can do that and be good at that, but for me personally, that's never something I like practiced or aspire to be good at as part of my engagement in culture and art and hip hop culture and even battle rap. And I know it's part of it, but I want to take an approach that's, you know, more what I fuck with, big picture, you know what I'm saying? Release some merch with it, like do some creative that's like more of an experience or like a different camera angle that's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Just something
you got
like
a whole like universe plan.
I want to do something different a little bit, you know, like and I'm doing the rest of it that's not me battling, and then I want that to like exist as its thing, and then be able to be like bring that to this and have it be able to be like, all right, that I painted that kind of picture and now I get it, and we got systems for it and resources, and you know what I mean. So
now,
but you know, I'll definitely keep you in the loop and shit.
Of course.
Like,
and the last thing I got for you, because I remember when we talked a couple months ago, you like, you know, you can't just say things like it's business, it's just business, what you're doing, like, you know, like foul shit. So you being on the outside, like I said, you know, you got a whole bunch of things going on. So it's not like you're 100% in and see everything.
No, I'm tuned in though to a certain degree. Like I'm tuned in enough.
So you can see, like, you know, we still have league wars, we got blockings and battles and things like that. So how does that slow it down a little bit for you to come back? Like, you know what? I thought about it, but not right now. There's just too much going on, or
to a certain extent, not because I'm like, oh fuck, like I can't be a part of that, but because I feel like this story needs to play out, and I don't think I'm really part of this specific story right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, I haven't spoken to Beasley or Smack, you know, or Chico or P, or you know, like. So I don't have an opinion. Like if I had an opinion, if I knew enough to have an opinion that I felt was valid enough, was informed enough for me to express, and I hadn't spoken to them about that opinion first, I wouldn't express it publicly. You know what I'm saying? And I both don't have enough information to have an opinion that I would feel valid, like asserting, and I haven't spoken to them. So for those reasons, I won't really speak on it publicly, with, you know, in specific. But I think business is tough and business is tricky, and communication is, I think relationships are tough and relationships are tricky, and communication is real difficult. And we come from a culture where all we know is like, yo, my brother, yo, I rock with you. You know what I'm saying? Like certain types of communication as like complete like loyalty and alliance and agreement, and then usually it's either that or complete like clashing and argument and fuck you shit. And so it's a hard time, you know, it's difficult to find that middle ground.
Yeah.
And I think that like also a lot of times, especially because it's a business that's built on culture, it's easier to mix the interpersonal and the emotional with the business part. Like I learned that a lot by running a business that's not music focused, so it was less personal for me. So I cared less how things went from a like, this reflects on me personally type shit. And so if a client wants a discount and I think they're being unreasonable, I don't have to be like, damn, this league's trying to play me, like my art is worth better, I'm worth better than that. It's like, all right, whatever, like this client spends X amount of money with us a year, the discount they want ain't a big deal. If I argue and try to convince them they're wrong, it's bad client management. Like who cares, you know what I'm saying? And so like it's hard to find that separation of what's emotional and what's practical, and everybody blurs the lines. And I think that's the part that's the most needs to be conscious of the most, of being like, this is business, and this is personal, and being clear about that and not blurring it. But like I said last time, people who say this is just business, like that's an excuse. You know what I mean? The way you treat somebody is the way you treat somebody. Like business is just like, humans have a desire to like categorize shit like religion and work and home life and this and that, and there's much more fluidity between all that shit, you know what I'm saying? So like just by separating business, like it's still the way you treat somebody, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, 100%. That like, and that's not to any one person in particular. I just personally feel like it's just business is like, if you don't have no scruples and you're doing unscrupulous shit, that's what you say to validate it because it's money. But like if your man someone lent you money and didn't give it back and was like, it's just business. Like where like there like that line is imaginary. Like if you really push the line from like friendships and relationships to the point of business, it's really not such a like this is over there and that's over there. It's like them shits is right here. So like that's a cop out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all. And I'm not saying anyone's particularly saying that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Before we let you go, free to wave, free surf.
100% always.
Any memories you got to surf? Any positive, whatever?
Nah, I don't want to share no memories. I just want to make new ones when he comes home. You know what I'm saying?
We like that as well. We like that as well.
I want to remember whipping his ass when he comes home. You know what I'm saying? That's the only memory I want to share when it's in memory of. You heard?
And on that note, I appreciate your time.
Likewise, always, bro. That's it, man. Just me. Follow me at Iron Solomon on Twitter, Instagram. That's it. All the rest, you know, what happened is happened.
Salute,
man. Appreciate you.